Hi everyone, it's kilzhot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead, Tears for Carl, and Random Things. This is our Tuesday night edition, so we got a little bit of Walking Dead. There's a couple articles that I want to talk about, and we got a whole lot of other stuff to talk about. This is kind of our casual night to just sort of unwind and talk about whatever we want to talk about. Hopefully we got some topics that are going to entertain you. Here's the ground rules. Well, I guess there are no ground. There's a couple. There's a few things we do want to throw out. Your comments will be included in this video, so everything that you stream along the side will not show up, but if you do type it, I'm liable to call on you and get you as part of this. Also, once the video goes live, make sure you guys get over, leave a lot of comments, and participate. We want everybody to get involved in some of these topics. I see a few people kind of walking in the door right now, and we will pick up a little bit of the exclusive Walking Dead chat tomorrow. We had some pretty good dialogue last night. I wished we could have extended it for another 30 or 40 minutes because there was a lot of good participation. I see, what's up, Six-Eyed Sports? Good to see you. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And we're trying to do these every night because I know people have various schedules, and I just want to be able to, just pick enough things to talk about where people can kind of get involved. And I know, some people are working late doing some stuff, and I get messages all the time. They're watching some of the playbacks, but it's a lot more fun when you participate live. So what is going on? Let's get this thing going. I'm going to start out with just the first topic is wasted time. And I've got a list of top time wasters, but I do have to tell you, I guess I'm not quirky, but sometimes I want to do something and time just flies by. Like, I had a whole lot of change. Like, a lot. I've got these big Coke bottles that you just always put change in and change in. And the next thing you know, like, the thing is, I don't know, a year, 2 years worth of stuff. It's a lot. But I start going through these coins, and I'm like, I can take these coins in and drop them off at the grocery store, and they charge 13%. So I don't know. Maybe I've got $300, $500. It's a lot. But 13% of that is a lot as well. So I got the clever idea that I want to roll these and take them to the bank. So that's not the time waster. As I was going through the coins, I started to notice a lot of different types of coins, like bicentennial coins, old coins, and these state coins. So, of course, as I start looking at the state coins, I'm curious. I'm like, there's coin collectors out there. There's got to be something worth some money. So then I start Googling, doing my thing, like which quarters are worth money, which nickels are worth money. So I'm not really wrapping it at this point to take it into the bank, which was my point in the first place. So these coins have been stacked up for a while, and you know how coins get on your hands. They're just not clean. So then I had to Google how to clean coins. So then I looked at it. It says, if you're not a coin collector, you can just kind of use soap and water and you clean these coins off. So I felt a little bit better after I cleaned some of the coins, and then I had some of these nice new shiny coins, but then I had to flip through all of them. To make a long story short, I was doing this for a couple hours, and I don't think any of them are worth any money. So that is a big time waster. So there, you guys got to see kind of like my story. I'm not a coin collector. I don't know a lot about it. I should have just put the damn things in a bag and took them to the grocery store and paid 13%, because I think I wasted a couple hours going through it, and I'm no closer to finishing the job as when I first started. So I'm going to ask you, and I'll give you a quick, this is a top 7 list from another site of top time wasters. So I'm going to ask you, what do you guys waste time on? I'm just kind of curious. And I'm going to give you a few of the items off the list, and we'll see if any of you have your time waster as what the #1 time waster is. Chris has got some coins from Civil War. That's serious. I saw that there's this Wisconsin quarter that is, it's like an error on the back of it, and the thing's worth like $150. So when I found the first couple Wisconsin quarters, I was pretty excited. I'm like, hey, maybe I have it. And then about 50 Wisconsin quarters later, I realized that I didn't have it. So Candy Crush, we get that. So we've had a kind of derivative of this, I guess, in the past. So television is on the list. I think that's number 7. People messing around with their cell phone is there. Losing items. I love that Geico commercial. Hey, Hippo, YouTube is not a waste of your time. YouTube is a wonderful, wonderful invention, a great place for you to spend your time, and also make sure you watch all of the ads on there. Petey D, what's up, Pete? Pete is in the house. Thank you so much for the super chat donation. He's got to get this party started. You knew it was going to happen, right? You knew Pete was going to drop in with a super chat at some point. Pete's got to have a whole list of questions, though. But thank you so much for getting this thing going. So Maggie's Angry Birds and Kel is Candy Crush. So a lot of you guys just playing games. Oh, Joni Tucker's waiting for kills. Come on, Joni. Really? That's not a time waster. We're going to find some constructive things to do. Errands. Chores. Number 1 and number 2. I thought these were kind of cool because 1, there's some things that we can do something about. The number 2 time waster is silly fights. It's, you know, these silly disagreements, and you waste time, and then you look back on it and say, what were we really arguing about? And number 1, time waster of all time, and this does get to me. I guess it's funny that you know, I can waste 2 hours looking through coins and they're worth nothing. But boy, if I'm on hold for 5 minutes, I just don't like being on hold. Something about being on hold. At least if I'm on hold and they say, like, you are the 5th caller on hold. I like that because then I can gauge, you know, 5 to 4 to 3 and decide if I really want to hold. But when you're on hold and there's no countdown and it's like 15 minutes and you just don't know if it's going to be 15 minutes or it's going to be 4 hours, that's bothersome. So those are some of the top time wasters. All right, moving on to the next topic, Netflix and kills. So I did get a very good recommendation a couple weeks ago from you guys, and I think it was just everybody in here, and you guys are watch Stranger Things. So I'm up to like episode 8 or episode 9. I really like it, so thank you guys for that. So my top, this is kind of, I don't watch a lot of Netflix. That's on the list of time wasters, by the way. See how everything correlates? I'm sure you guys are picking up on that, like one thing leads to another. And Daredevil. I did watch Daredevil on Netflix, and Daredevil led to Punisher. So I didn't even know Punisher was out, but then when people said Punisher has his own series, I remembered Daredevil kind of introducing Punisher. And then Stranger Things. I think that's like the only 3 things other than some old movies and stuff that I watch on Netflix. So what is it that... I'm just getting some more ideas. What is your favorite Netflix show? And it's Netflix and kills, so maybe once I finish Stranger Things, you guys can recommend something else. Whoa, Jenna, 2 days? That is some serious, serious binge watching. That's crazy mode there. 2 days, I can't do that. Yeah, Punisher was decent. It took me a couple shows to really get into it, but then I liked it. So let me know your favorite Netflix series or what you guys are all watching right now. I guess original content, because some of the other things I've watched, you know, if they're bringing it back on Netflix, I'm not really interested in that. Like Breaking Bad, I was already on AMC, so something original. Wow, Emmy, you're doing some serious TV watching too. Mad Men and Glow. That's what Scott's watching. What shows are out there that you think would make good conversation topics? Like, obviously, you know, Walking Dead we can talk about. We can talk about theories. We can talk about hidden clues, all of those. Are there other shows out there that you think would create some good mystery dialogue? And it can't be like super old because, you know, if I'm watching and there's only like 15 people that are down with it, then not going to be a very popular stream. Let's give you guys a few more seconds. Rick and Morty, that would make a good stream. Well, definitely Game of Thrones. And when Game of Thrones kicks back off, we're going to be doing a lot of Game of Thrones chat. All right, I got some ideas. If you guys are really passionate about a show that you would like to see a weekly segment or dialogue, then send me a message on Kik at KILZHOT. Let me know just some ideas that you'd like to see, and we'll get that thing cranking. So let's TV remakes. So I'm going to give you a list of some of the top TV remakes that are out there, and then I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to it. So here's some remakes that have happened that were very popular. And Petey Wheatstraw, what's up? So Petey with the super chat donation, that's emphatic. So he's going to recommend Trailer Park Boys, a hilarious Canadian classic. So I'm going to write that down. I have not seen it. So I'm just going to ask the group. Let's follow up with Petey's super chat question. Have you seen Trailer Park Boys? And would it make the list? Would it be something that we would want to talk about? The best Beavis and Butthead was the one where they're playing "Creep" by Radiohead. I just saw the clip to and that was just amazing. Where Beavis just had the shirt, and every time the guitar, the lightning would strike, like, yes, yes. I am the great Cornholio. I'm not even doing a Beavis and Butthead impersonation for you guys. That's as close as you're going to get. I'll stick to Daryl and some other people. All right, I will definitely check it out. Okay, let's get to the list of, these are some of the top remakes that are out there. House of Cards, actually a remake. Sherlock Holmes, remake. The Office, Twin Peaks, Bionic Woman, X-Files, and Hawaii Five-0. So, question with TV remakes. What TV show would you like to see remade? What's a classic show that you would like to see brought back? Or what's something that they could add a creative element to? Fire, you think I would be a great book narrator? I mean, I do comic book reads. Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. All in the Family. Yeah, I guess. Was there not a Buck Rogers remake? Twilight Zone, there was definitely a newer version of Twilight Zone. MASH, yeah. Oh, He-Man would be great. That would be a great remake. The A-Team. Yeah, I could see some of these things. We're all over the place. This is this shows the experience level of our audience. I figured Kel would be typing like Kojak or something. I'd like to see a Moonlighting remake. Oh, you guys, all in the family, you've already got you got characters pegged out for who would play. All right, you know Gilligan's Island? There you go. So if there was a remake of Gilligan's Island, who would play Gilligan? Wow, you guys are putting some shows up there I don't even know. David Addison was great, especially when he would do some of his Shakespeare segments, or look out the audience. Well, Jim Carrey would be a good Gilligan. No, not Matthew McConaughey. He's too busy driving a Lincoln. His commercials. Yeah. All right. A lot of good TV show options. I see a follow-up chat coming with this one. I think this could be a whole random things topic. I mean, I don't think Matthew McConaughey could be Gilligan. What would he do? He'd go around the island. Well, all right, all right. Where's the skipper? No, no. All right. Walking Dead Tears. So I saw an interview, Greg Nicotero, with Entertainment Weekly, and there's no doubt. I mean, not that there was any doubt anyway that Carl's going to die, but something that he said struck me. I don't know if he's trying to defend the writing, but he had some pretty epic quotes in that article. And one of the things he said, Greg Nicotero was talking about, this is going to be a tearjerker. And he says 20 minutes into the show, he was in tears. So I don't know how. I'm sure Carl's going to be there for almost the whole 90 minutes. But there's got to be some really touching scenes going on. He also said that it'll all make sense, and the people that are upset about Carl's death will understand it a little bit more. So there's been a pretty big backlash for this death, even some of the people that were playing the roles, but Greg Nicotero is strongly defending it, as he should. I mean, you know, he has to support his bosses and the other writers, but I don't know, when I read that, it just kind of, it did hit home a little bit more that this is going to be more sad than I envisioned. So the question I have for all of you is, are you ready for this? Are you ready? Because we're going to have therapy. We're going to be talking about it before we do it. We're going to watch the show. It's going to be epic sadness. And then we're going to do after we watch Chandler on Talking Dead, then we're going to get together after that. And there's just going to be a lot of emotion. So are you ready for the tear storm that's going to happen? And happy birthday, Walking Dead girl. OU's like, yeah, bring on the death. I'm ready for it. I'm not going to cry. If you guys get a chance, check out Entertainment Weekly and just read up on it, because it does give a few tidbits. I may do a smaller video when there's 4 or 5 minute deals and just talk about that interview a little bit, because I've been getting a lot of requests to do kind of the short segments. I love doing the live streams, but I do have some longtime viewers who are like, hey, give us a little bit more news, you know, throw a video or two out there. So I may do a follow-up with that as well, too, because I thought it was a really interesting interview. All right, we got our Walking Dead chat in here. So just a couple things. Before we transition into another music showdown, and I had a hard time with this music showdowns, and I know we got a lot of people that have various, you know, favorite groups, and they span just generations. Let's transition one more time and talk about some things that could be brought back. These are fads, items, clothing, a bunch of things that are out there, mostly clothing, I think. But I went through multiple websites. One was Huffington Post, which I'm not a big fan of, but there were several. We merged it together, and I'm going to give you a top 9 list of fads that should be brought back. Number 9, suspenders. Number 8, Chuck Taylors. Did people stop wearing Chuck Taylors? Anyway, bangles, digital photo frames, printed t-shirts, hats, fancy gloves, scrunchies, and number 1 thing that should be brought back is chokers. And just real quick for all of you, is there a fad, something that you would like to see become trendy again, or you would like to see brought back? You want a Stretch Armstrong? Steph? Maggie says bell bottoms seem to come in and out every few years. Or flare pants. I agree. I mean, that was a fad they said should be brought back, and I thought it's never went anywhere. Well, all right, all right. Well, let's bring it right back. Let's see. Baseball cards were something. You know, Salem, that I would like to see. It's a shame. It's a shame collectibles have really taken a hit. It's because everything's digital. You're right. Hey, Crawfish, bring that Pinto back. iPod, Swatch watches. I like that. Dude, I got so many watches. I don't even... The smartwatch, my Apple Watch sort of retired a lot of fashion watches. I do have to say that. Because now you can just change the face of it. You don't have to buy a new watch every year. I'm just reading a few of the things here. All right. We are going to, some good ideas there. Like Panama Jack shirt, like a muscle shirt or something. You know, when you're watching Stranger Things, though, and you see, was that a Pinto or was it a Dart? Was it a Dodge Dart they were driving? They do a really good job of that whole set. I'm looking for some flaws, but that whole set is really constructed well. All right, we are going to transition into, hey, you're talking about bringing it back. We've talked a little bit of retro. We talked about TV remakes. And by popular request, you guys requested 70s music. We were either going to do 2000s music, 70s, soundtracks. All of those are options. And the first one is a little bit longer list because, you know, we start out with 32 of these. There are a lot of sites out there that give their list of top 50, top 30, top 20, all over the place. And I have to tell you, it's hard to narrow these things down because some of the statistics are based on how many hit songs they have, how many fans they have, how many people are still listening to them today, how many hits. And I'll give you an example. A person that I had to leave out, and Andy Gibb didn't make the list. And at first glance, you're probably thinking like, okay, well, Andy Gibb probably shouldn't have been one of the top 32 people in the 70s. But let me just say, if you look at the top songs of the 70s, Andy Gibb had 2 of the top 10 songs of the 70s. Everlasting Love and Shadow Dancing were both 2 of the top 10 songs, as rated by Billboard magazine and a whole lot of other things. But I could not put him in there because some of the other groups and the mix of groups. Casey and the Sunshine Band did not make the list. When you hear the list, you're going to probably say, okay, I think it's a good list. But there are always going to be people who, you got your favorites. Barry Manilow did not make the list, Maggie. I mean, it is hard to get all of those good groups, good bands. There's so many different types of music in the 70s to wrap it all up. So, here we go. There are going to be no write-in ballots for this. So, I know Blondie is great. Blondie did not make it either. Sorry, Jenna. I got a heart of glass. Exactly. It's like, what the what? But let's just go through the list. You'll see some of the people that made it, and I think that you'll be pretty pleased with the list. Wayne, let me also say, I did not add Queen. Let me tell you why. If you guys have followed the 80s and the 90s, Queen actually won the 80s. So because they won the 80s, I didn't pull them back into the 70s. Because they might win again. And that's kind of the only caveat, is I did make one minor exception. I would say Queen is one of the greatest bands of the 70s, no doubt about it. But we're going to go in a different direction. All right, here we go. So here's the way it works. We're going to, there's seeding. So we're going to have number 1 versus number 32, so on and so forth. And as we get down to the bottom, you'll see it's a pretty close matchup as we get to, like, what, 16, 17? I think that's how it works. All right. So without further ado, the number 1 seed and a heavy favorite in this is Led Zeppelin. So Led Zeppelin is up against Creedence Clearwater Revival. Led Zeppelin, you know what Led Zeppelin did. Stairway to Heaven, Black Dog, Whole Lot of Love. No doubt about it. I did not say ABBA is not there, Jenna. Hold tight, hold tight. CCR, Bad Moon Rising, Proud Mary. So give me your vote, Led Zeppelin or Creedence Clearwater Revival. Let's get this thing rolling right now. You'll see who's in, you'll see who's out, but we're not going to have a long debate because some of the people you're even listing will not be number 1 anyway, so it's irrelevant. All right, here we go. Led Zeppelin. We've got an early vote from Scott. Let's do it, Zeppelin. Oh, Salem Blue and Kel coming in with Creedence Clearwater. Do, 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 looking out my back door. Another Led Zeppelin. Oh, CCR. Zeppelin. Zeppelin all the way. Zeppelin, Real. Zepp. Zeppelin, Zeppelin. Paris says, I prefer CCR. Maggie says CCR. Sheila Beasley with CCR. Wilani comes in at Zeppelin. DDA Ohio, Zeppelin. Deja Vu, Zeppelin. Michelle Wolf, Zeppelin. Jenna Crockett, Zeppelin. Storm coming in with CCR. John, O2C, Zepp. Rusty Shackelford coming in. Not only did he come in to like the video, but he saw Zeppelin and hung around. Barb Berlin coming in with Zepp. And we're going to call it. CCR got a few. I do like me some John Fogerty. I like CCR, but Zepp pulls it out. So not complete domination, but enough to get it done. All right, so there you can see what we got. So we do have some talent here, and it's going to be some tough matchups. So let's move on to the second matchup. I know there's some favorites in this. So we're going to start out with David Bowie. So David Bowie versus Electric Light Orchestra. David Bowie versus ELO. ELO did make it in at number 31. David Bowie coming in strong. A lot of love for Bowie out there. Ground control to Major Tom. David Bowie and ELO. So let's see who you guys got. Let's get this thing rolling. Steph coming out of the gates in a hurry with ELO, but there's going to be a lot of Bowie fans coming up. Deidre Perkins with Bowie. Laura Brown with ELO. Maggie ELO. Bowie, Bowie, Bowie. This should be a blowout, to be honest with you. Bowie, Bowie, Bowie. Rial with ELO. I do like me some ELO. Bowie, Bowie, Bowie. Bowie, of course. I love the Black Rose. I don't think they're an option. Bowie, 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 Bowie. This is a blowout. Sorry, Steph. I know Steph is a big, big ELO fan. Instead of hello, how are you? It's going to be goodbye. They lost to Bowie. David Bowie. No doubt about it. All right, moving on. All right, we can call this one right there. Bowie, in complete domination. Bowie takes it down. Led Zeppelin and Bowie, the first two, have advanced. All right, very interesting matchup here. The number 3 seed, you can see on the left side, and then against the number 30 seed, squeaking in, representing a chain of chicken factories as well. The Doors versus Kenny Rogers Roasters, Jim Morrison and the Doors. Come on and touch me. And Kenny Rogers. I know. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. You got to know when to hold 'em. Know when to fold 'em. Know when to walk away. The Doors versus Kenny Rogers. Let's see who you guys got. Scott coming out with the Doors. Rusty with the Doors. Mother of Imps. Doors, no contest. Storm says the Doors. The Doors, the Doors. Maggie coming in with Kenny Rogers. Well, at least Kenny Rogers has 1. Up, 2. But a whole lot of Doors. Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. The Doors, no, we can call this one early. It is done. The Doors. No one here gets out alive. Kenny Rogers did not make it out. All right, number 4 seed. Moving on to the next one. We called it. It's done. It's done. There were just a whole lot of people coming in for the Doors. Another favorite in this contest, and hey, you never know. Could be Led Zeppelin and this group fighting it out at the very end. I mean, they're definitely up there. So let's get this thing rolling. We got the Rolling Stones versus Peter Frampton. Peter Frampton barely squeaked in. I think Peter Frampton was Guitarist of the Year 1977, 1978. Frampton Comes Alive. Do You Feel Like I Do? Woke up this morning with a wine glass in my hand. Of course, the Rolling Stones, you guys know. So many songs by the Rolling Stones. Where do you want to begin? Satisfaction. Satisfaction, commonly referred to as the greatest song of all time. Stairway to Heaven and Satisfaction go back and forth a lot for those. This is probably going to be a blowout, but if we did the greatest guitarist of all time, Frampton might get a little bit of love. He might be up there. We got a lot of Stones, a lot of Stones. Couple Framptons in there. So we could definitely go through a whole list. And as we narrow this down to like 16, I'll give you guys just a little bit more fuel for the fire. Rolling Stones in a landslide. They're walking away. All right, let's move on to the next category. You're not right, Steph. You're not writing any yellow. They're done. They made it though. At least they got in the list. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right. Good matchup here. Interesting matchup. Someone asked for the great Pink Floyd. You got it. Here comes Pink Floyd matched up against ABBA. Pink Floyd versus ABBA. And I don't know where you want to begin with Dancing Queen, but there's a whole lot of Pink Floyd songs. A whole lot. We've got Laura Brown coming in, Pink Floyd. Storm says ABBA. Rusty says Floyd. Lark Song says Floyd. Firebreak says ABBA. Oh, Salem Blue ABBA. Maggie says ABBA. Kel says Floyd. Scott says Floyd. Whitney Floyd. Okay, there's the representation right there. And we grew up and went to school. There were certain teachers. I have so many good songs. Comfortably Numb. Day after day, love turns gray like the skin on the dying man. Pink Floyd in a landslide. Let's call it right there. All right. So you can see the heavy favorites so far. Keep in mind, Zeppelin, Bowie, Doors, Stones, Floyd, they're generally on the list of the top 5, so no surprises there. The other five were big underdogs. It was like Jacksonville playing the Patriots. I mean, come on. You know it's not going to happen. All right. Another top seed going head-to-head. Tough battle here. And also, I do have to preface this by saying the Bee Gees and Barry Gibb. Barry Gibb's writing talent is all over the industry. I mean, so many different groups from country to he jump-started so many careers. The Bee Gees versus Eric Clapton. Good matchup. Clapton, another great guitarist. Clapton solo. Clapton in, at least 2 groups in the 70s versus the Bee Gees. So, yes, you can say Bee Gees, I'm disco, I'm not disco, but think of the songs they did. He also, the songs I mentioned with Andy Gibb before, 2 of the top songs, Everlasting Love, Shadow Dancing, but then the Bee Gees songs, Von Tillman. I mean, think about it. Bee Gees versus Eric Clapton. Let's see who you got. Rusty Shackelford coming in early saying Clapton. Rial saying Clapton. We got Bee Gees, Clapton, Bee Gees, Clapton, Bee Gees, Clapton, Clapton, Bee Gees, Bee Gees, Clapton, 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 Bee Gees. Oh, this is getting super, super close. And then 5 Bee Gees in a row. A couple Clapton coming in. A couple more Bee Gees. 3 more people coming in with Bee Gees, and we're going to keep going a little bit further. We got Jenna Crockett at Bee Gees, Deja Vu coming in with Clapton. Villar, Bee Gees, Clapton, Bee Gees. You know what? We're calling this a draw. 2 of these are advancing. It's too close to call. This is the closest matchup we've had so far. We're not going back doing a recount. It is an unofficial tie. We need a tie. Both Bee Gees and Eric Clapton will be advancing next week. That means next week there will be at least 1 group of 3. Everybody said it's a tough one. So Clapton getting in there. A little bit of an underdog. Bee Gees, You know, you either like them or you don't like them. It is a tie. Moving on to the next category. Another very tough matchup coming up is the Eagles versus one of the greatest songwriters of all time, John Lennon. Of course, you know John Lennon with the Beatles, but John Lennon as a solo artist, amazing as well. The Eagles versus John Lennon. Here we go. Let's see who you got. So many good solo artists out of the Eagles as well. Don Henley, Glenn Frey, Joe Walsh, Randy Meisner. Let's see what we got. We got the Eagles, the Eagles, the Eagles, the Eagles, of course, the Eagles. Okay, we got a little John Lennon coming in there. Imagine if Lennon loses. Imagine all the people. Eagles, Eagles. Oh, a lot of Eagles fan jumping in here. Oh, hang on. Wait a minute. Rusty says Lennon. Well, Lonnie says Lennon. Villar says Lennon. All right, we got a... This is getting a little bit closer. All right, here comes a few more Eagles fans. Brene says Eagles. Sheila says Eagles. It got close there in a hurry, but at the very end, you can see the Eagles pulled it out by a few. The Eagles eliminate John Lennon. You can't hide your lying eyes. All right. Speaking of the Beatles, we got somebody else from the Beatles in this matchup. But before that, one of the just transformative bands. I mean, Kiss. How can you not have the 70s without Kiss? Detroit Rock City, Dr. Love. Come on. All right. Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Peter Criss. Kiss versus Paul McCartney and Wings. And people had enough of silly love songs. They call me Dr. Love. They call me Dr. Love. Kiss versus Paul McCartney and Wings. Who you got? Count them down. We got people still voting for the Eagles. Crawfish is coming in with Paul McCartney. iRock. Kiss. Jenna Crockett says Kiss. Paris says Paul McCartney. Wings. Kiss. 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 Paul McCartney. I think we got a few Paul, but looks like... Oh, wait a minute. Whitney, Donna, and Bryoptic all coming at Paul, but then we got... It's getting closer. Kiss still by a few. JB. Fire says Paul McCartney. Angela Savage with Kiss. It was close. Kiss barely. Barely. Kiss eliminates Paul McCartney. All right, moving on. How could you have the 70s without Freebird? Lynyrd Skynyrd versus Bob Marley. Lynyrd Skynyrd versus Bob Marley. No Woman, No Cry. Or how about one that Eric Clapton also did and Bob Marley, I Shot the Sheriff. But Lynyrd Skynyrd, Freebird, also one of those. Depends on which list you go by, but Freebird a lot of times up there, greatest songs of all time, Stairway to Heaven, and Satisfaction. Those are usually the big three. So let's see who you got. All right, couple Lynyrd Skynyrd early. Then we got Bob Marley. Bob Marley. Rial says Lynyrd Skynyrd. Paris says Lynyrd Skynyrd. Michelle Wolf says Freebird, baby. Jenna says Bob Skynyrd, 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 Skynyrd. Hippo says Skynyrd. Willani says Bob Marley. Pat says Marley. Salem Blue says Skinner. Rusty's tough, but leaning towards Skinner. Jenna Croc. This is actually, wow, not a lot of love for Bob Marley. And I got a summer trip planned to Jamaica. And I was kind of hoping you guys would push Marley through for me. It looks like Leonard Skinner takes care of business. All right. The next one, I'm going to tell you, this next one better be super, super close. If it's a blowout one way or the other, I got to question the group here. Aerosmith versus Chicago. Aerosmith versus Chicago. This could be an epic matchup. So interested to see what your music tastes are here. Dude looks like a lady. Sweet Emotion. And, you know, Chicago changed, I guess, with Peter Cetera. A little bit of their style where it was more of like an orchestra type of thing. But just amazing music by both groups. Laura Brown getting out of the gate. Scott, Aerosmith, Aerosmith, Aerosmith. Rial says Aerosmith. Paris comes in at Chicago. Don Machiavelli with Aerosmith. Lark Song, Chicago. Hippo, Aerosmith. Salem Blue, Chicago. Crawfish, Aerosmith. DD, Ohio, Aerosmith. Zelda says Aerosmith. Pat says Chicago. Jenna, Aerosmith. Wow, this is, I thought it'd be a little closer. Kel says Chicago. iRock says Chicago. Nope. Unfortunately, this is not going to be a tie. I thought this could be one that would go down to the wire, but definitely Aerosmith in a big, big way. You can see Whitney at Aerosmith, Jennifer Grip, Aerosmith, Aerosmith, Aerosmith. That is emphatic. All right, no doubt about it. We're moving on. Aerosmith. I do want to say every favorite so far has won except for the Bee Gees, who tied. Because Aerosmith would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Aerosmith would be the number 10 seed. So Chicago is like the number, what, 20 seed? 22nd seed, somewhere around there. It's like the, you know, they're stacked. Top versus worst. By the time we get to the bottom, it'll be the two in the middle. So Aerosmith, pretty easy there. All right, here we go. Another 70s favorite. AC/DC versus James Brown. I feel good. James Brown versus AC/DC. I got an idea who the crowd's going to vote for. AC/DC and James Brown. Rusty, go ahead. I know Rusty's going to type AC/DC before it even gets started. He was like mind reading me. Watch how quick Rusty types this. This is going to be a blowout. All right, Salen and Villart come in with James Brown. Michelle, AC/DC. Wayne, OU Crawfish. Chris Salisbury. Mother of Imps, all coming in with AC/DC. There's a couple. Pat says James Brown. There's a few. 1189 Paris, personally love James Brown. And I did like James Brown in that MC Hammer video where he was like passing a torch. Was it Too Legit to Quit? Too legit to quit. Hey, hey, that one, yeah. All right, AC/DC, no doubt about it. All right, there's a lot of rock bands in here, and I know where a lot of you stand, but this next group is a favorite, and this could be an upset, but I'm hoping it's not. I'm just going to tell you. All right, Jackson 5 is the favorite, and they're going up against Ozzy. They're going up against Black Sabbath. So I know there's a lot of rockers in here that love Black Sabbath, But keep in mind, Jackson 5, A, B, C, easy as 1, 2, 3, and I'll Be There. I mean, so many songs by Jackson 5 up against Black Sabbath. Let me see who you guys got. I cannot vote. I'm moderating. Hey, Petey, I'm telling you, there's no doubt. However, I will say that in greatest groups of the 70s, AC/DC was ranked higher in most charts. All right, so let's see who we got here. We got Deidre saying Jackson 5, Sheila Beasley, Jackson 5, Angela Jackson 5, Zelda Black Sabbath, Jackson 5, Jackson 5, great 70s group. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about this so far. Little Michael, there you go, Jackson 5, Jackson 5. Thank you. This should hold true, and I know Sabbath was good. This was a tough matchup for Black Sabbath. Because the total body of work, and I know it's going to be personal favorite or personal preference for some people. Deja Vu coming in Black Sabbath, Brene Black Sabbath, Hippo Black Sabbath, Steph the Cuervo Queen Black Sabbath, Jenna Jackson 5. Jackson 5 got out to a really good start. Black Sabbath closed the gap a little bit. I'm going to say that they had enough points early on to secure the victory. Jackson 5, not in a landslide, but enough to get the job done. Jackson 5. All right. Moving on to the next category, 1, 2, we got 4 more matchups, and then we'll be able to call this and move on to next week. It'll go a little faster next week because it'll only be 16, probably 17. All right, here we go. Maybe one of the first punk rock bands ever from the 70s, the Ramones versus Elton John. Ramones versus Elton John. Who rocks the 70s? It's like a sidebar going on. We're all coming out with Elton John. I remember when rock was young. Me and Susie had so much fun. Holding hands and skimming stones. Whoa! Holding hands and skimming stones. But Elton may lose to a group called Ramones. Look what I just did there. See how I just kind of ad-libbed that? Hold on, I got to get the counts going. I'm way out of here. We got Ramones. Few Elton John. All right, Elton John's making a strong comeback. I was busy doing the Crocodile Rock, and I didn't realize all the Ramones fans were here. I think Elton's got it. We'll give it just a couple more votes here. I agree with you, Mark. Sir Elton in a nail-biter. All right, we are going to call it. Elton John, that's an upset, actually. Ramones were higher ranked on most of the list than Elton John, so Elton John actually pulls it out. Okay, we're getting to very, very evenly matched groups. The 3 more to go. We're going to start out with Yes, higher ranked, but this is another one for you guys, Simon and Garfunkel. Yes versus Simon and Garfunkel. Let's see who you guys got. Once again, hold me closer, Tony Danza. I love the people that messed the lyrics up for that song in particular. Great point. Paris says Elton had more hits, but the Ramones are a classic 70s band. And, you know, that's going to boil down to, like, preference. You know, kind of that Andy Gibb reference I made for you guys earlier. Andy Gibb probably didn't have enough of a body of work to make this list, but he had 2 of the top songs. A lot of Simon and Garfunkel. This is a big upset, actually. Yes is one of the top 20 groups from the 70s. Simon and Garfunkel squeaked in, believe it or not. They were like mid-20s. And, wow, did anybody even pick yes? This might be unanimous. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Yes, the original version, Simon and Garfunkel, which I think is still better. Simon and Garfunkel gets it done. Here we go. We've got 2 more matchups, and we'll be able to give this wrap up and call it a day. This is a longer stream than normal, but it's always these 32s that keep us going. So we got The Who, Pinball Wizard, Who Are You, Who, versus Marvin Gaye. Heard It Through the Grapevine, Sexual Healing. Pretty good matchup here, actually. The Who versus Marvin Gaye. All right, we're getting out of the gates early here. Mother Vimp says The Who. Rial says Who. Crawfish, Who. Zelda says The Who. Scott says The Who. Salem Blue with Marvin Gaye. Paris says The Who. A lot of people coming in. Let's see if we got any Marvin fans. Fire says Marvin. Well, Lonnie says Marvin. Jenna Crockett says, okay, here we go. Emmy says Marvin Gaye. Laura Brown, Marvin Gaye. Cut into the lead a little bit. Totally different, but I'm going to call it. When I get that feeling, I want sexual healing. And it is The Who taking it down. And here we go. This is the last matchup of the night. And then I'm going to make one announcement. All right, so here we go. Last matchup of the night is Stevie Wonder versus Fleetwood Mac. Stevie Wonder and Fleetwood Mac. And then we will get a countdown, and I'll make one quick announcement. So let's see who you got in the last showdown for the 70s best band, best group, best performer of the 70s. Stevie Wonder versus Fleetwood Mac. Wait. Did someone just... You did not recommend Christopher Cross as one of the best in the 70s. Christopher Cross wasn't bad, but I don't know he makes a lot of people's top 200 list, John. Sailing takes me away where I always... Fleetwood Mac. Stevie Wonder. Fleetwood. Stevie. Laura Brown says Fleetwood. Maggie says Fleetwood. Whitney says Stevie. It's we're getting close to calling it. Chris says Stevie. Nix. Yeah, I see what you did there. Nice. Pat says Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac runs away with it. We're going to call it right there. All right. Here's the deal. I'm going to give you guys collectively, because we always do this, and people are going to say, where's Blondie? Where's James Taylor? Where's Supertramp? Exactly. Where are all these groups? And you couldn't put everybody in the top 32. But because we had one tie, we're going to do one write-in ballot. So this is what you guys have to do. On the 999 Army Facebook page, someone start a thread. You can only vote once. Do your write-in ballots. I don't care who it is. Whoever gets the most votes on the Facebook page, we're going to add that to our group next week. So you get one write-in. You guys can go onto the Facebook page, whoever you think it should be in the 70s. A lot of people got slighted. But start a thread. We did some really, really good music threads. There was one that where we were changing around, what if this person didn't do that, and so on and so forth. Pretty popular. And no, Steph, ELO cannot come back from the dead. They've already been in it, so they're kind of out of it. You can't have them back. If it's a group that's been eliminated, you can't bring them back. But if it's someone that we left out, then leave the post. We will add them. So here are the people that won and carried over to the next round. So we've got Led Zeppelin, David Bowie, The Doors, The Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, The Bee Gees, Eric Clapton, The Eagles, Kiss, Leonard Skinner, Aerosmith, AC/DC, Jackson 5, Elton John, Simon & Garfunkel, The Who, and Fleetwood Mac. That's a pretty damn good list. I know some people are going to want a couple other groups in there, or one or two, but that's not a bad second round. And it wouldn't matter, Steph. ELO's never going to make it to the finals. Just not going to happen. Hello? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate everything that you guys are doing for this channel. We talked a little bit about wasted time. We rolled into some Netflix shows that we're going to talk about, some TV remakes, Walking Dead interview. Check it out on EW.com. Some things that we want brought back. And we are moving on to the second round next week of our 70s Music Showdown. And, of course, if there's a write-in ballot you want, get on our Facebook fan page and leave that over there, and I will add it as one of the other matchups. Thanks, everybody. If you're watching the playback, this is the closing credits. This has been an hour and 2-minute stream. For all the people that are still here, slap the like button and give me a quick 999 so we can give some shout-outs on the way out the door, and we'll call it a night. So thank you so much for being here, Scott. Appreciate you being here. I'm not putting Queen in, Jennifer, because Queen won the 80s. So we're going to bypass them. If I put Queen in there, they might win the everything. They might win the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. You name it. Queen will win it. Oh, you Crawfish, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, Wayne. Michelle Wolf. Boston could get a vote. Sheila Beasley, thanks for being here. Jennifer Grip, thank you. Petey Wheatstraw, I got a question. What's your question, Petey? Thanks, Mother of Imps. Pat sends on. Have a good night. Chris Rainig. Maggie Bonacorda, thank you for being here. 1189 Paris. Salin Blue. Angela Savage, thank you. Have a good night. Rusty. What's up, Rusty? It is Deja Vu. Thank you, Deja Vu. Phil Collins. Thank you, Brene. Have a good night. Don Machiavelli. Have a good night. Where's Petey? Where's Petey with that question? And thank you for another super chat. Chris, Lionel Richie and the Commodores definitely would be a strong write-in my opinion. Northside Queen, thank you so much. You have a good night as well. Have a good night, Mr. Midnight. Jake Turgeon, have a good night. Hey, and I'm probably going to do some double shout-outs, but if I miss you guys, then when this video goes live, just leave it in the comments. Hey, Mark Ross, have a good night. You know what? Petey Isley Brothers is definitely somebody that I love the Isley Brothers, and that could be a write-in. This old heart of mine's been broke 1,000 times. Each time you break away, I fear you're gone to stay. Write them in. Write them in on the Facebook page. Thank you so much, Jenna Crockett. Maggie, have a good night. John O2C, Randall Roundtree, have a good night. Hey, Tommy, write in the Temptations if you want to see them. This is a collection of most of the top 30 to 40. So it's going to be hard to get something that's all-inclusive, but I can tell you the top 20 or so are pretty universal. Anakin, have a good night. Thank you. Thanks, Hippo. Have a good night. Hey, Crawfish Journey is another group that could have made it. Yeah, create the poll on Facebook. Let's pick one. But make sure it's a good one. Make sure it's a group that you think can advance. All right, everybody. If I missed any shout-outs, make sure you guys leave it in the comments. It's been a super long stream, so I apologize we didn't get around to you tonight. We will be here tomorrow night talking Walking Dead, the Wednesday Walkers edition. Thanks, everybody. Peace.